Oh, I've got a rant today. This is a rant video. It seems like once a week I have to get these rants out. Except this is going to be more so about the fan base than the players. So, just right off the top, this video isn't for the faint of heart. This video isn't for stands. If you are easily get your feelings hurt, and if you easily just like to be fed bullshit, then go watch Rob Has a Podcast Be Wrong All Season. Now, I do want to talk about some of the aspects in the game versus the cookout. Definitely starting to plan their end games, getting ready for the cookout war that is imminent, whether it starts at the double eviction or not. It's starting Thursday night in one way or another. Either starts at the double eviction or right after the double eviction. And we still have the same kind of scenarios. It is still basically Xavier versus Tiffany, but currently Tiffany only has Hannah. So Tiffany at this point is not in a great spot. And that is because whether the fan base likes it or not, whether the players like it or not, Azza can be a key to certain players winning this game. And where Tiffany fucked up long ago, and when I called it out long ago, Tiffany letting Azza and Derek F be far, far away from her was such a fatal mistake. You can't just totally discount players in this game, especially players in your alliance, if the plan is to go to Final Six. But back then, the only players in the cookout really working with Azza were Derek F and Xavier. So it should be no surprise that at this point, Azza is more willing to work with them. But it's not that she's not even willing. It's that Tiffany's communication with her is trash because Tiffany is paranoid about Azza, when in reality, all Azza needs is trust and info. You give Azza info and you actually trust her, she's gonna ride for you. And Azza still rides for Tiffany. Everybody, the fucking fan base wants to talk about Azza does anything Xavier wants her to do, and that's just false. Azza is probably one of the only players in the cookout that truly has their own mind. Azza said today to the camera she wants a woman to win and would vote for Tiffany or Hannah in the end if one of them make it. Azza still was trying to work with Tiffany, but Tiffany went to Alyssa and tried to throw Azza under the bus again a few days ago, like I talked about, saying that trying to get Alyssa to use the veto when Tiffany tried to throw the Jokers under the bus, saying that they are lying and would vote out Xavier, so she wants to put up Kylan, and she was just trying to get Alyssa to use the veto, but Alyssa talked to Azza about it afterwards. So Tiffany just doesn't maneuver well in this game, and it started a long time ago, and now she has to make up for it, but she's still not making up for it with Azza. Meanwhile, Kylan's even trying to make up for it with Azza. Kylan has been trying to patch things up with Azza this week. Azza still doesn't trust his ass, though, and I still think Kylan is her number one target in the cookout. Hannah is weak this week. She's had a bad week. I'm not impressed with Hannah this week. I feel like she got caught in all the Tiffany drama, and her target grew this week for sure, thanks to the Tiffany drama. And then we have Claire whining to Tiffany about how some of the players in the game just won't vote for her to stay because they're not playing their own game. And she's right about one thing: there should not be fucking unanimous votes in Big Brother, because if you're voting unanimously, it's truly not best for your game. It can't be best for everybody's game. But in this instance, I guess since the cookout wants to get to final six, I guess it is best for everyone's game. But I'm just like, you're doing all this bitching, Claire, and then Tiffany's the one that put your ass on the block. So don't know why you're bitching to her about other players in the game. Claire's been furniture, like I said in the last video. She has truly been Claire the chair, and listening to her try and talk about other players being non-players is laughable. But let's get to some of these fucking opinions from the fan base and the podcasters and everybody who wants to be in the same line of thinking for whatever reason. Let me give a backstory. I started this channel for fucking online games. There's online survivor games on this channel you should watch. There's an online The Challenge game on this channel. There's a game I created that's my own game called Online Isolation. And I would like to do future Big Brother games online on this channel. But last year we tried to do a Big Brother podcast, but the season was so boring. None of us liked it. We gave up pretty quickly. And then we've been doing challenge podcasts for a while. And then we did Big Brother Canada 9. We did rankings all season. And now this season, I really tried to lock in with coverage of the season. But I say this because I always knew the fan base was crazy, toxic, very many adjectives that you can use. But while covering this season, and it started with BB23 when I first noticed how everybody has to try to jump in on the same point of view, even if it's constantly wrong point of views. But this season has truly proven how crazy and frankly stupid this fan base is. Everyone, well, I won't say everyone, but most people online and all the podcasters, it seems, like to have the same fucking opinions. And I think this is why the fan base is so toxic, because you got the casuals who are fucking problematic and racist. And then everybody online, the online fans are all fucking stans and just constantly be delusional and hateful and toxic themselves. So I've talked plenty about how Azah has gotten plenty of hate this season. And then you got people online being like, I hope a black woman wins this season. And then they never count Azah into that because she doesn't work for Tiffany's game. The Tiffany stands are on a fucking planet of their own. Where Tiffany can do no wrong, and anybody who goes against Tiffany is a terrible person, and if you're not with Tiffany, they get shit on. The only other person that gets love is fucking Hannah, because Hannah works with Tiffany. And I guess, and then this is the fan base will try and stick up for Claire when she's talking about other players in the game being furniture, as if Claire, the chair, is not the most boring player on BBUS of all time. If Tina was not on BB 9, Claire would be the most boring, pointless Big Brother player to ever be cast. Well, now the fandom, well, I mean, then there was hate towards Kylan, but I feel like Kylan deserved a lot of it, if I'm being honest. Kylan was a problematic piece of shit during his HOH reign. But now this week, Xavier is the latest player getting the hate from the fan base. And so much of it just does not make sense to me. I will say Xavier is having a really, well, not a really, but he's having one of his worst weeks in the game this week. I feel like he played a lot of emotions this week and finally grew his target. His target is big, and Tiffany now sees that his target should be big. And if Hannah gets on board, at least 2 players see that Xavier needs to go. And one thing I didn't mention is Claire wants to mention in her plea tomorrow on Thursday, well, on Thursday night, she wants to talk about Xavier and say that Xavier's at the end. She is voting for Xavier to win. So Claire going to try and put a target on Xavier even if she goes home. So the target is finally on Xavier, either way. And I do think he's not as strategic as players like Kyland and maybe Tiffany. But Tiffany and Kyland are also messy players in general. But we can't sit here and act like Xavier's social game and positioning early in this game has not paid off. And I do get arguments that are like, women in this game, in these games, have to do a lot more work than men just for their games to be recognized. That is 100% true. I mean, look at the countless fucking mediocre male Survivor winners over these past 5 years. There's a lot of them, from fucking Nick to fucking Ben. There's a lot of mediocre to bad Survivor winners. Ben's the worst winner in Survivor history. But I don't like people trying to completely downplay Xavier's game. And it's crazy. I see clips of podcasts on Twitter that are just crazy. You all feed into each other. It is truly the human centipede. I thought, the fan base, like most social media, is just one big circle jerk. If you agree, you all agree with each other. Nobody could have opinions of their own, and it's one big circle jerk. But this fan base is worse. This fan base literally is the human centipede and will eat someone's shit, and then somebody else will eat that person's shit. And I use this gross comparison because everybody's so wrong all the time. So you're eating someone's shit, and then the next person wants to eat it too. And then you're all looking like fools because you're all fucking wrong all the time. And it starts on these podcasts a lot. We have fucking all the popular podcasts. I see them on social media complaining about the same people that everybody else on social media is complaining about. You all just enjoy eating each other's shit. We have Taryn out here saying that anybody who wins this season should really thank Tiffany. And then Taryn is almost, I've seen the clips on Twitter. He's really trying to fight back his white rage when it comes to Xavier. And I don't even understand where it's coming from. I mean, that podcast a lot, and I've called it out a lot on this channel over the past year, will constantly downplay Black players' games, but especially Black men. They did it with Tashawn on BB Ken 9. They tried to downplay his game the entire season, even though in the end, he played a perfect fucking game. And then you all, whether it's on a podcast or on social media, can't go on these rants about Xavier and how he's basically hasn't done anything for the cookout and that he doesn't really have a game. And then in the same breath, say he's the odds-on favorite to win. Like, do you not see how those two things don't go together whatsoever? You can't say Xavier is playing a bad game, but is the front runner to win. That makes no fucking sense. Xavier has had people in the cookout working for him for most of this game. And whether you like that or not, that is a game, and he's doing a good job at it. And it also brings me to all of these people who want to talk about how either jury management doesn't matter or social games shouldn't matter, or I just don't think they take social games into account. Even Dazed and Alex on one of our podcasts a couple of weeks ago during the rankings, we're trying to act like, just get to the end. Who gives a fuck about jury management? I mean, it's great if you can do that, yes. But the greats have been able to do it all. Tashawn did it all. Tashawn talked about early in the game how jury management was important. And it was, because in the end, he got every single vote except for fucking Tara. And I still don't like the fan base acting like you can't win these games just based on social game alone. Fucking 45% to 50% of the first 20 Survivor winners won on fucking social game alone. And I get these games have evolved, but have they really? It's just flop twist after flop twist on Big Brother, and it's just big alliance after big alliance on Big Brother. So it hasn't really evolved. But the fan base really shows their ass when their hypocrisy just fucking jumps out of them. They will degrade people they don't like on Twitter. But then when their fave, and it's usually Tiffany, is doing something problematic, they act like it's okay. Oh, Tiffany was colorist with Azza early in the season and tried to say Azza was aggressive when she's nothing like that. And then tonight, Tiffany is mentioned that maybe Xavier's an ex-con and he's been in jail. Like, Tiffany plays into black stereotypes herself because she is problematic herself. But everybody on social media tries to just turn blind eye to it. But then they'll fucking shit on Azza because she's working close with Xavier and has had a crush on Xavier. And even though Tiffany is up in the fucking HOH bed with Kyland, possibly pleasuring herself, the fan base has truly gotten to a point where it seems like if it ain't Tiffany or maybe Hannah who wins, well, everybody's just going to be mad. And for the love of God, can this fan base at least try to stop eating everyone's excrement and have all these constantly wrong opinions? It's honestly crazy to me how everybody in this fan base wants to have the same wrong opinions all season long. Do you all not get tired of being wrong? Apparently not. It must be nice living in that human centipede delusion.